Namaste and hello everyone. Welcome back to another video on Hamsavahini Vajraasthra. I'm Awhona and I'd like to start off this video by wishing everyone here a very happy new year 2022, and I wish everyone here a very good reading year ahead. So in today's video I'm going to share some of the books which I plan on reading for the month of January for my reading projects, and if you are curious about what these reading projects are all about, I will post a link to the video in which I talked about them in length in the description box below, as well as link it in the cards over here above for all of you to cross-check. So do please join me further in this video. So now let's get down to the individual books that I plan on reading for these reading projects. So the first project is the TrollopeDickens Project, and for the month of January I plan on concentrating on Anthony Trollope's works. So the first book that I've chosen to read is a non-fiction work by Anthony Trollope, which is his own autobiography. Now Anthony Trollope penned this book during the last few years of his life, and this was published posthumously. Now in this book he talks about the adversities which he faced while he was growing up, the difficulties which he faced while he was attempting to get an education, and the way he was treated by the then Victorian society and their psychology, and the circumstances which surrounded him while he was penning his most famous novels. So it's going to be a very interesting read, and that's the first book that I've chosen. Now the second book is one of his longer works and one of his famous novels, which is He Knew He Was Right. Now this was published approximately during 1869, and the core element of this particular book is about Victorian marriages, and I will be reading this for 2 months, which is January and February. It's divided into 2 volumes, so I'll try and complete volume 1, which is approximately 490 pages something, or 409 pages in the month of January, and the rest of the half in the month of February. And I plan on taking my time in reading this because it's a very interesting plot, and it is all about Victorian marriages, the ethics and the morality followed in a Victorian marriage, and the core element is that of trust and the importance of trust within the Victorian marriage, which could either break it or keep it safe. And also there's a lot about the psychology of the individual characters, which I am quite intrigued by. I have just started reading this novel and I really am enjoying it. So that's the second book that I plan on reading. And the third book, which I plan on listening to in an audio format, is called Christmas at Thompson Hall. And I understand that I'm a bit late in reading this because this should have been read during Christmas time, but as long as the snow is sticking to the ground and there's cold wind blowing all around, any Christmas theme is welcome to me individually. So I don't know much about the plot of this book, except that there is a Mr. and Mrs. Brown who are settled in France, and they come over to England for Christmas. But unfortunately, Mr. Brown wants does not want to travel to England because of a physical ailment, but Mrs. Brown is very keen, and the story starts off from there. And I am not too sure about the plot, but I'm quite curious to find out. The next project is the Literary Nurses Project, and for this I'm reading 3 books for the month of January. The first is a non-fiction work, which is a biography of clarabarton and her services during the Civil War, and this is called A Woman of War, written by B.Oates. And this is a pretty massive book, so this is going to be a bi-monthly read for me, which means that I'll be reading this over January and February. And this book talks about the contributions which have been made by Clara Barton during the American Civil War, and how she individually tried to contribute to the field of nursing. And she was also famously known as the Florence Nightingale of America. And also she was the co-founder of the American Red Cross Foundation, and how it all came about. And the good thing about this book is that the author tries to walk the reader through the life of Clara Barton as she intended the reader to know it. So that's the first book that I'm planning to read. Now, the second book that I'm planning to read is a short read, which is called Saving Lives, How the Media's Portrayal Can Put Our Lives to Risk, which has been written by Sandy Summers and Harry Jacob Summers. And this is a book which introduces us to the dangers of the portrayal of nurses in TV shows and in media in general, and how it influences the real life decisions made in the field of nursing. So this is something which is a first-hand experience, and I'm very keen on reading this. Now, the third book is a fiction work. It's a nursing fiction book, of course, and it's been written by Holly Green, and it's called Workhouse Nightingale. Now, I had chosen to read this book for my Nightingale August Challenge last year, but unfortunately I could not come around to reading this, so I plan on reading this now. Now, this is set in during the Victorian times, and it centers around our main character Dora, who is an illegitimate child and is of mixed race. So after the sad demise of her mother, suddenly she is sent to her father's residence, and there her father's family does not accept her completely, and she's treated like a servant. And the eldest son of the family takes advantage of his position in the house and abuses her sexually, and makes her pregnant, and she is accused of being promiscuous and sent off to the workhouse. And despite all the adverse circumstances, Dora still wants and aspires to lead an independent and a dignified life by becoming one of Florence Nightingale's nurses. So in this book we get a good glimpse of the plight of the underprivileged women who had to become maidservants, and what their positions were in a Victorian household. It also deals with the circumstances under which they were sent to workhouses, and the extensive work which was carried out by Florence Nightingale for the workhouse women. Now, the last project is the Victorian's Time Project, and for this I plan on listening to an audiobook called A Brief History of Life in the Victorian Britain, written by Michael Patterson. And this is a very interesting book which talks about the movements and the events, as well as the circumstances which shaped life in Victorian Britain during those times. And I am quite curious about knowing what exactly had happened then. So that's the last book that I'll be reading. Not exactly reading, but listening to. And I do have a Workhouse Nightingale, which I just mentioned before, which also doubles up as a fictional read for the Victorian's Time Project. So those are the few books that I'll be reading for these projects. And in case if you are curious, or if you are interested in reading any of these books along with me, do please mention about this in the comment section below, and also about how you felt about the books which I selected. And in case if you've read them, do please share your insights on them, because that would make the book reading more interesting. So that is all I have for today, and with this I'll be wrapping up this video. I will catch up with you soon with another video in which I'll be sharing the books that I plan on reading, which would be more genre specific for the month of January. So all that and more in my next video next week. So till then, take care, have fun reading, and have a good reading week ahead, and namaste.